Every single year, this topic changes because we have new CODs pulled. COD is Certificate of Development, if you don't know that. So we just call them CODs. But every year it changes, and basically the January-February issue of the domestic rabbits has all of the updated information. That should always be your most important issue of the domestic rabbits, because it is up to you as a judge to copy all of that information and get it into your standard. It is no longer the obligation of the exhibitor to provide you that. Once it's published, it's up to you as a judge to have that information with you, just as it is for you to have your standard with you. It used to be, back in the day, that the exhibitor of the new COD needed to present the standard. Nowadays, you can't use that as an excuse for not judging them. And I say that not lightly, because I have heard many judges that, and I'm going to use the lion heads a lot today, because they're our newest breed, and it took them a long time to get there. In my area, I heard often, I'm not judging that because it's not even a breed. I'm not judging that because they're awful. I'm not going to judge that, I hate those. And I've heard that from many, many judges. That's not right. If it has a certificate of development, that breed now belongs to the American Rabbit Breeders Association. It's our job as judges to judge those to the best of our ability by the standard that's provided. So with that, I think that we have done that particular breed a huge disservice, because I had the opportunity to judge their first official national show this past spring. With that show, they had two varieties, the ruby-eyed whites and the taurus. Well, those poor folks didn't have a clue of how this show was going to run, because when the three of us judges got to the tables, they had them filled with blacks on all three tables. Like, guys, you can't do that now. And they're like, well, this is how we've always done it. Well, welcome to the ARBA. You are now a breed. Now we have to do your whites and torts, pick best of breed, and then do your other varieties that have a certificate of development. And after about an hour delay, we figured out how we were going to do this, because they were very concerned, because they didn't want the crescendo of the show, picking best of breed, to happen, and then nobody would really care about all these other varieties. They wanted the best of breed selected at the end. Well, we figured out how we could do it, so we went ahead and we picked best of breed, but we kept it between the judges, so we didn't announce it. So officially, we did select our best of breed, we picked our best opposite sex of breed, and then we did the other varieties, and then we announced it all together, and it was a great day. It was wonderful, with the exception of how many rabbits we disqualified. We disqualified, I don't officially know the numbers, but I would say we disqualified half of them. Why? Mostly for no separation, which used to be called a break, basically where the mane and the flank will come together. And if I heard it once, I heard it 30 times that day. We've never heard that before. Judges never disqualify for that. I've never been disqualified for that. I've never heard a judge comment on that before. Why? Because, in my opinion, most of the judges didn't take them terribly serious, because I don't know if it's because they're a new breed, I don't know if it's because it took them so long to become a breed, and we saw so many different varieties coming through the channels. But once it got down to the last few years, there was pretty good consistency. So I think as judges, we did that breed a disservice, and those poor exhibitors that half were in tears because we weren't being stern with them like we would most other breeds. We have a few more breeds that are coming up. Your Velveteen Lops, I think we're going to see, I think there's a group of breeders out there with this go around that are real gung-ho on these Velveteen Lops. And what I'd love to see is for judges to take them eagerly and not only learn for yourself, but learn enough so you can teach and inform and instruct. And if a rabbit has a DQ, DQ it. if you've ever shown under me, I've probably disqualified an animal or two of yours because I disqualify a lot of rabbits. My main reason is I'm not up here to be nice. I try to be nice, but I'm up here to educate. And if my second place animal is beaten by your rabbit that has a disqualification, I'm not happy about that. So as a judge, I don't try to be a hard guy, but call it as you see it. And you know what? When they go home, and if they're in tears, or if they get mad, or they protest, if you are there with confidence and you know what you're talking about, stand up to it. Because I also think as judges, I kind of wish we'd have each other's backs a little bit more, and have a little more confidence to go ahead and DQ them, and especially these breeds that are coming in and they're new, and we're all kind of learning them. But and like you said, there's so many different varieties of lion heads. Now I'm seeing it across the country that they're definitely becoming a little more consistent, and even if they're national, their body types, we have a lot of overweight ones, but they were becoming a little more consistent. We've got the Czech Ferocys coming up, we've got the Argente Bruns coming up. So we've got some new breeds, not just varieties. And the reason I didn't really want to touch on varieties is because anybody could take any judge could take a broken mini satin, and you're going to judge that like a mini satin because all it is a color change. So varieties, hold them to their breed standards because they're already established. So if you're having a new variety and you need to judge those, be strict, be stern. If it has a breed disqualification, disqualify it. But those are all done. We all know that those are done after best of breed. You judge any varieties within that breed that has a COD. But we all know that, so I'm not going to bore you with that. I wanted to really touch more into the breeds, especially because we have several coming up, and it's been really, really exciting to see that and how much time these people put into their breeds and their passion and their work and their money. It's insane. And I will also tell you, if a breed comes to you that does not have an official COD with the ARBA, are you obligated to judge that? Well, do I have to? Probably not. Am I going to? Absolutely. Why not? If they've paid their entry, and if it's okay with the host club, it's only bringing in more revenue, and it's bringing in more interest, and maybe more exhibitors. So, I just would like to never ever hear anybody say, I'm not going to judge that because I don't like that. I mean, that would be the same as me saying, no, I'm not going to judge those Flemish Giants today, I'd rather do dwarfs. Well, that's a terrible thing to say. So, when you get a new breed, new variety, judge them enthusiastically. Yes?
I have a quick question on the variety issue, because at one show, the show secretary, actually this was in Lionheads, we had one person come up with a COD for what they were calling Himalayan, and another one calling it pointed white. And the show secretary basically told them they had to pick one or the other, they weren't going to split it up. And I felt, that at that point, that, we had to take each group under each particular color. Is that how you would handle that? And also, how would you handle it if somebody came to you with a COD for a Harlequin color in another breed? Like a Lionhead.
Currently, there isn't one.
You don't mean COD, you mean a proposed standard.
Right, a proposed standard that they were showing them. So if you have one person that wants to show one group as pointed whites,
well, the pointed white, the Hemi, eventually one or the other is going to come in. And we're talking, I don't know if you guys heard the Lionheads, whether they're going to be pointed whites or they're going to be Hemis.
But at this point, we still have to take, like, if person group A wanted to show as pointed white and person B wanted to show as Himalayans, we'd still separate those two?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because their standards that they wrote were both a little bit different?
But there is no official standard.
Right, this was standards that they wrote last year.
Right, but there isn't an official standard for the Himalayans or pointed whites. So since there is not an official standard, that judge is going to just judge them together.
Okay.
So the show secretary should just put them together. Call them what you want to, call them purple. It doesn't really matter. They're going to be shown together, and then whoever gets the first COD in, that's what it's going to be in. It's amazing how much this committee is here to help people work on CODs, we had to rewrite the Czech Frosty standard because it's a foreign breed and it came in the foreign breed format. Well, it didn't fit our book. I mean, it didn't make sense. It was all over the place. So we took Charmaine, we helped her, we rewrote it, put it in a format to where all...
We're talking about the Argentine Bruns.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
You said Czech Bruns.
I'm sorry, the Argentine Bruns. And so it's amazing, and people don't realize how much we want to help.
One thing I don't think you touched on, that is that the COD has been issued for new breed or variety, but it has not yet been presented to the Standards Committee. That working standard has to be presented to the judge.
Correct. Did you guys hear that? So if a breed has applied for their COD and has been issued their certificate of development, but has not been presented to the Standards Committee, then that's when that exhibitor will supply you with a copy of their stamp. This is something that most people don't know. After that Standards Committee day at the ARVA convention, everything that was done on that day has to be approved by the ARVA board. So, just because the Standards Committee passes something, everything can change the next day when the board has their meeting. So, it doesn't often happen, but occasionally it does. This year it did. So, you kind of always want to know that they always have the final say in everything that goes on. And it's also a good time when the breed or the variety is still under development, not unofficial. It's also a good time to interact with them a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as the exhibitor is not being malicious or trying to sway you or turn you or anything like that. It's a great time to interact and talk to them and get a feel for what they're breeding for and what their interpretations are versus yours. You know, usually the DQs are pretty black and white. It's gonna, another thing, and I'm not really a lion head person, but if you're going to find that break, since we are touching on the lion heads, when that break starts, it's always, not most of the time, always at the front leg. So if you see it somewhere else, you could be suspicious.
May I interject a comment about working standards? Obviously, most people know that I've got the Czech Frosty COD. The working standard for the Czech Frosty is not etched in stone. And neither is the Argentine Brun, neither is the Velveteen Lop. Until it's accepted by the ARVA Standards Committee and the ARVA Board, it's a work in progress. The Czech Frosty standard that we finally present to the Standard Committee and the Board, beginning at Delmar, I hope, is not going to be the same as it is right now, simply because what it is right now is a translation of the Czech standard and the German standard, both of which are different. They aren't identical. And certain things in there don't apply to ARVA. In fact, you know, like you said, the Argentine Brun, in Europe they give points on weight. The bigger the rabbit is, the more points it gets.
And they don't give points on condition.
And they give no points on condition.
We have to on everything.
But
if you ever have any questions, all 9 of us, very approachable. I mean, Cheryl is always the one to go to, the chair. But, do you have any questions? Good? All right. Thank you.